Hello, all. Seeking to commune with the old ones but are unable to find a cabal? Fear not, Broken One. We have a Discord. If you desire the latest Brokenverse news, looking for a group to play tabletop games with, or even just want to hang out with a cool group of eldritch monsters, we have what you need. Find our Discord link at linktree/the Broken Lords. That's linktr.ee/the Broken Lords. Now we return to our descent into the unknown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Broken Lords podcast. I'm Corey, your referee for today, and we're going to be playing another session of Traveler. When we last left our heroes, our intrepid adventurers amongst the stars, are occasionally attacked by fungus, people, I don't know. When we last left off, the crew had just found more survivors in the observatory, high up on a crater above most of the atmosphere on the planet Alpha. And I believe we had just hit a turning point in our conversation with the scientists. So take it away, guys. What do you want to do next?
Our missions are twofold. One, you mentioned that there is a potential for getting a cure, pointed Dr. Mills.
I believe with the information you have, if we can just get our hands on some more sophisticated equipment, I think we can put something together.
What equipment do you need in order to complete that?
He rubs his chin a little bit and he's like, the science lab and medbay are entirely unavailable, I understand?
Alright, so mission one is to secure the med bay.
Be specific. The med bay and the science lab, are we referring to Candling Station? The med bay is completely a no-go zone.
Does the crawler, the ship we come not have a med bay?
Nothing sophisticated, no.
Yeah.
You have basically think like the school nurse's office, but a little bit more professional than that. Dr. Keene chimes in, and she's like, well, if the laboratory has been destroyed, we might be able to make do with some of the spare components we have around Candling Station and in the weather station.
We didn't have any trouble at the weather station. I know we looked through and tried to grab what we could, but I don't know if we got everything.
Yeah, that seems to be much more feasible. What exactly do we need?
Well, we're all right as far as running simulations and things up here and crunching the data. What I need is sampling equipment. I'm going to need basic lab supplies, beakers, burners. We're going to need refining equipment. Things that can carry out those functions should be located either in the weather station or perhaps in one of the storage areas around Candling Station. You might have to get a little bit creative and use your own knowledge of science to look for opportunities on what we can substitute for what we need.
Corporal,
Yes.
what do you keep with you for putting the bombs together? There's a nicer way to say that, but it's out of my reach.
What you would call TNT, what you would call Semtech.
Do you have a kit for that? Is there any overlap there?
I try not to carry explosives on me, if that's what you're asking.
That's a good point, but the basics.
He clears his throat. Well, I suppose you could make do with some fertilizer. Probably be the easiest way to make one. You'd be surprised what you can do with a little bit of...
Okay. If you're making breakfast, right? You got the eggs, the bacon, the pan. I'm asking if you have the pan, basically.
He kind of, pats himself down. This is the first time he's been asked to do something like this, so... in out-of-character game terms, Corey, would there be some kind of role I would have to do?
Yes. Well, the first thing is what is there anything specifically to do with explosive making or processing equipment on your character sheet in your inventory?
I am looking.
Your inventory literally just has guns on it.
It's true, because that's the only thing I bothered to put on there, because out of character, I thought that would be the only thing that would be relevant.
I mean, I have a med kit.
The best laid plans.
Look, I just expected to shoot things, explore things, and then shoot more things. I don't know what you want from me.
Congratulations, some of those things were accomplished.
Yes, I'm mostly very good at that thing. I guess for the sake of the narrative, we don't have it.
You guys are definitely going to have to go out and get some stuff.
He kind of just shakes his head. I mean, like I said, I didn't expect to actually blow things up here. I thought this was just going to be a reconnaissance mission, which is,
Klein shuts her eyes, swallows, starts again. I can fully appreciate why you would think that. Yes. She seems like distracted.
for the first time, you actually see him kind of feel like his pants are down at his ankles, and he kind of rubs the back of his head. I mean, I could make do with making some sort of material in order to transport things, if that's what we need it for.
Klein shakes her head and covers her eyes as best as she can through her vac suit. I'm at my limit, guys.
Look, the faster we get off this planet, the better. I think we agree on all of us.
Yeah.
So what is the plan that requires these materials?
Are you asking an NPC that, or are you asking Klein that?
I'm asking Klein that. Apparently this is an A and B conversation now, so?
The doctor said, Dr. Keene, about this going off-world and what happens if that is the case. This is already off-world. This is already that bad case. I don't know that I feel right just leaving the whole thing unchecked. I understand that there's something inherent in this planet that keeps it from flourishing, but this is already that scenario. This is already the problem realized.
What do you want me to do? You want me to blow up the whole planet? I need a couple of nukes for that one.
I mean, as impressive as that would be, I don't think I can ask for that. No. I also don't think that is the answer. How many of these hubs? She shyly kind of looks at Dr. Mill. What would you call it?
That's a good question.
Brain part, putting finger quotes in the air.
I mean, can you describe it for me? I haven't seen it recently.
Klein takes a deep breath and does her best to describe what is a writhing mound with spores spewing in the air and parts of people being dragged in and assimilated. It just consumes.
Well, you describe this as a hub or a brain. Perhaps it would be easy enough to refer to it as a core for the time being?
I mean, we could just set it on fire. Not to be, Neanderthal about it, but...
I don't see what's Neanderthal about it if it works.
I mean, that'd be a lot less complicated than making an explosive. There is a question that I would have, though. Now, if we burn it, will it release spores? Because it kind of looks like a fungus to me. And, you know how mushrooms, how they spread their seed, I guess you would call it.
Dr. Mills kind of spreads his hands and he's like, the only thing I can definitively tell you about that entity is that it was once the astrogator.
Right. The more I think about it, the more I feel maybe we shouldn't tamper with it because we might be causing more problems.
Liquid nitrogen. We don't have any.
We would need a lot of it for something that big.
Yeah. Not a bad idea, but do we have Freon here? I mean, there has to be some kind of a refrigeration unit or something that you have in, I don't know, the cafeteria or something.
There would certainly be things like that in the mess hall, yes.
do you still have the Freon tanks? Because we could probably make something out of that.
Yeah, either way, you'll have to go back to Candling Station. There's nothing like that up here. Only very small, and we need them to continue our life support.
Right.
But even if we manage to deal with the core that's in the science building, is anything going to be left? Or even if there's Freon, does that work the way I imagine? Just spray it all over the thing and then it's dead?
I'll spray it all over it. It goes into suspended animation, you would think. And then perhaps we could shatter it from a distance. Which would, in theory,
Yeah.
1, destroy the thing. 2, keep as much of the structure intact, the actual building, that is. Well, if we did that with the bomb, well, how you say collateral damage would be a thing.
It also survived in the vacuum of space.
Well, if we shatter it, once it thaws, won't it just rebuild itself?
I don't know.
Since it is a fungus, I imagine it would be able to pull itself together.
Yes, so I think we should avoid the second part of that. But the freezing part, maybe not so bad, because...
Yeah, we don't need to get rid of it. We just need to not be going after us while we grab the equipment.
Yeah, which would mean... And he kind of does some, calculations in the back of his brain. I suspect that with the... 1, the spraying would take a little while. And 2, I don't know how its thermal temperature would be, so I don't know how much time that would give us.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Well, we'll have to play it by ear. That's all we can do.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Alright, at least we have a beginning of a plan.
Dr. Keene, you're a star expert, right? Are you able to look up coordinates?
I can determine the details of a specific set of coordinates, certainly.
I tell her the ones that were broadcast into my head.
She walks over to her console and starts typing as you're rattling them off. But, you don't get very far into the data before she stops and holds up a hand. She's like, "Are you sure those are accurate?"
Repeat them again from the beginning.
Yeah, you only get through, the first portions of the data points, and she's like, why are those coordinates significant?
That's where it came from.
If you're correct, it came from far, far beyond the boundaries of explored space.
Oh.
She sighs and tells Klein to continue and finishes punching in all the data. I believe we're going to need this information, but I'm afraid I can't give you any specific details on what is there.
At least it's in more than one place than just my head.
I'd be interested to know exactly how you acquired this data, but I believe it is more important right now to figure out how to get off this planet.
Bookmark this for later.
Agree.
Yes.
Alright, team. I think we know what we need to do next, and none of us are pretty jazzed about it, shall we say. So we should probably just rip the Band-Aid off and go for it.
Alright.
Addresses the doctors. I suppose this is the safest place for you to stay for now before we can get you the materials you need and then hopefully get you off this god's-forsaken planet. Special thanks to our logo designer Sierra Twazin, to Toys and Things in Danvers, Massachusetts, Reaper Miniatures, and Mongoose Publishing. If you enjoy the show, help the podcast grow. Give us a follow on Twitter at LordsBroken, join the community Discord, and maybe consider offering a small tribute to the old ones on our Ko-Fi. All these links and more can be found in our Linktree at linktr.ee/thebrokenlords. Thank you.
Podcast recommendations, you ask? Brian Wayne here, co-curator of The Apocalypse. And I know that sounds gnarly. That's because it is gnarly, man. The Apocalypse. What is The Apocalypse? The Apocalypse is a culmination of the gnarliest podcast, independent podcast the internet has to offer. So instead of trying to go to Twitter the next time you need a new podcast to listen to and try to get Twitter famous, podcast recommendations, please. Just think The Apocalypse, man. And it's ironic because The Apocalypse is only the beginning. It's only the beginning. Just go to podchaser.com. It's in the top lists in the whole world. So whether you're looking for true crime, sports, role-playing, Well, I don't know, anything. Think of a podcast. It's on the apocalypse. It's like the apocalypse with a D. And do not forget to follow the apocalypse on Twitter as well. Once again, that is the apocalypse. If you're looking for a podcast recommendation, the apocalypse is sure to have something for you.